The Logitech G Pro, the Thrustmaster T818, and the Moza R9 are three excellent direct drive wheelbases, but the question has always been, which one should you go for? I have spent the last few months spending countless hours playing with these three, and on today's video, I'm going to go over an overview, look at the quick releases, look at the software, talk a bit about the force feedback, and then look at the value for money proposition of these three wheels in order to help you decide which one to buy. Now, starting with Logitech G Pro, this comes in at $999 and it's the most expensive of the trio. It's the only one that actually comes with a steering wheel, and the steering wheel itself is pretty good. It has 11 Newton meters of torque, making it the most powerful of these three wheels. And it's also the only one that's actually compatible with consoles. Physically, it is enormous. Quite heavy there compared to that, which I can lift with one hand. Next is the Thrustmaster T818. Now this comes in at $650. It doesn't come with a wheel and it's only PC compatible. Now if you add a wheel from Thrustmaster, the cheapest wheel, it makes this about $828, which isn't actually that far off from this thing. Anyway, notably, this has got different color options that you can choose, so you can make it more customizable. I've been using the Thrustmaster SF1000 Ferrari wheel with this, and it's been working a treat. Last but not least, we have the Moza R9 wheelbase, the cheapest, smallest, and least Newton meters of torque. This costs $430 without a wheel and has 9 Newton meters of torque, and it is physically the lightest of the three. It's the smallest. It's finished in aviation grade aluminium, and actually when you think about the fit and finish, it's probably the best of the three in terms of looking high grade, professional, and expensive, because let's be real, none of these are cheap toys. So I've been using the Moza ES wheel with the Moza R9, and when you add this on, it brings the total to $530, and that's the cheapest Moza wheel you can get. Now time to look at the quick release. Now the quick release on the Logitech G Pro is pretty simple. You just line up the arrow on the top, and then you just put it on like that and it's done. It's rock solid. I've had no problems with flex. It's easy to put on and take off. Now the Thrustmaster quick release is fairly easy. You basically lift up a latch like that. You plug this in once you've lined it up, and then you close the latch, and then you've got to put a screw in to the top to make sure that it stays really tight. Now, when I've been using this, I have not had any flex in this at all. I have had the odd creak or so, and that was when I actually wasn't using the screw because I forgot to put it in. Now, the Moza R9 quick release is quite cool. It is really, really straightforward. You just line up the holes like so, and it's on. That's it. It's completely rock solid. And actually, I think the Moza quick release in terms of simplicity and rigidity is the winner out of all three. In terms of the ecosystem, the Logitech G Pro essentially doesn't really have any. Apart from the Logitech G Pro pedals, you don't really have anything else of this caliber that you can call an ecosystem. There is a quick release which suggests that something new is coming, and the McLaren partnership that Logitech have would suggest that they're making a McLaren-based Formula wheel, but that's yet to materialize and we don't know when it's gonna come. Now in terms of ecosystem, Thrustmaster is pretty good. So they've got lots of different wheels, they've got shifters, they've got handbrakes, they've got pedals, they've got everything. Moza have not been around for that long, but the ecosystem that they have built in that time is nothing short of very impressive. You've got round wheels, Formula wheels, they've got a shifter, which I've got, which I'll be doing a review on shortly. They've got a handbrake, and they've got a host of pedals, including load cell pedals as well. All of these, apart from the Thrustmaster T818, will mount to your pre-existing sim rig. The T818 actually doesn't. Now, because of its weird hexagonal shape, it's meant that the T818 does not mount to any pre-existing rigs without the Thrustmaster mounting solution, which is annoying given it's another expense you have to spend, and it's not really clear when you order this that that is the case. So just beware, if you are getting a Thrustmaster and you have got a sim rig that's been made in the last couple of years, it's not going to fit. You're going to have to get a mounting kit or do what I did and drill holes in your own sim rig, which, as you can imagine, was extremely painful. In terms of the software, the Logitech lets you do the bare minimum. It worked well for me, but has been buggy for a lot of people. The Thrustmaster is exactly the same and allows you to use 4 different levels of power, and essentially that's it. Now the Moza wins by far. For someone who enjoys tinkering with their settings, this will let you do it to the extreme. Now let's talk about force feedback. The force feedback with the Logitech G Pro is simply amazing. It is up there with the best force feedback that I have ever experienced, and that includes using other wheels like Simicube, for example. Now the wheel is so good in that it gives you all these small details details that you didn't know existed. Obviously Logitech is famous for having the True Force technology, and I actually think True Force does add something when turned to the right level. If it's too high, it makes your hands vibrate and feel numb, and if it's too low, there's no point in having it. But when it's really done right, it feels really good. Definitely the clear winner in terms of force feedback. Now the Thrustmaster is really impressive out of the box. As I said before, you can't customize it that much, so the settings you get when you play are the settings essentially that you can use, and honestly it feels really good. There's me catching a slide in an F1 car at Bathurst, and drifting is really fun in this thing as well. The Thrustmaster T818 responds really quickly and is famous for having an unfiltered force feedback compared to other direct drive wheels. I think they've done a fantastic job, and I'd certainly recommend this to everyone. If the Logitech is a 10, the Thrustmaster is an 8. Now the Moza may be the cheapest wheelbase here and actually have the least amount of torque, but don't let that fool you, this thing still feels pretty good. Now out of the box, it didn't feel as good as the Logitech and the Thrustmaster from the get-go. I had to tweak a few things to just stop that vagueness feeling that I got, which a lot of reviewers have said before, but once you get it dialed in, this thing feels really good. And when you consider the price of this compared to its competitors and the force feedback you get, it's pretty impressive. Now I enjoyed using this thing. It had the basics of oversteer, understeer, and giving me sensation of being on different track surfaces with different tire temps, and I really enjoyed using it. It was really impressive. If the Logitech is a 10 and the Thrustmaster is an 8, I'm going to have to give the Moza a 7.9 because it is really that impressive from that small motor, and it does a good job of telling me what the road surface is doing underneath me. Now to conclude, the choice of which direct drive wheelbase you go for is obviously a very personal situation that's based on your circumstances. Now the Logitech G Pro is the most expensive, but when you actually count that it has a wheel, it starts looking a little bit cheaper. The pros for this is that it definitely has the best force feedback this side of a SimCube, and I think that the force feedback on this is clearly a winner. But the problem with the G Pro is that its ecosystem lets it down. If you're really looking for console compatibility, then the Logitech is a clear win. Look, if you're coming from a non-direct drive wheel, then I'd suggest, unless you need console compatibility, that Moza is probably the best value for money in terms of having a decent direct drive wheel with decent feedback that won't cost the earth. It also has an excellent ecosystem, so you can enjoy different aspects of sim racing and increase your immersion. Now, if you've got a Thrustmaster already and you're already in that ecosystem, then I think getting the T818 is a no-brainer. Of course, there are a few annoying things. Get the mounting kit, don't drill your rig. Now, in my opinion, I think the Moza is the best value for money. The Logitech has the best force feedback, and the Thrustmaster has the best ecosystem. Now, obviously, this is all my personal opinion, and if you want to ask me more, feel free to join my Discord, follow me on Instagram, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like. It really helps, and I can't wait to bring you some more content very soon. Cheers.